Good morning. How is everyone? It's 9 in the morning. We're actually running super late today. We were scheduled to start 3 hours ago, but I ended up being a little bit preoccupied, so we moved it back to 7, and I've not heard back since then about starting up and getting going. Plan B, the usual, we'll probably just switch over to No Man's Sky. Since we're still on a timer with that game, and I've spent the past 3 days not doing the expedition on the expedition save. So... to be fair though, I think, given the opportunity, I'll just be doing more prep work today. Tone still has a fair few, well, Tone is also doing the expedition, and he's still got a couple of things he needs to check off the list as well. So if we can get ourselves both up to the same starting point, you know, I'd love for this music to keep going without having to... No! Let's make... Music player 2's the active one right now, right? So if I get this, and then that, we can keep our music. Cool. Hey, Drowned Bell. Welcome in. We're going to be chilling to some music for a little while. I do have a solo save I started up in Stardew. Forward on the Borger Farm, day 3 of spring, year 1. Rest. Very old. Day 20 of winter, year 1. That's not my main save. This one down here is my main save. Apparently I've not played that for a couple of years. Egg Farm. Borger Farm is the one I made the other day. But on today's menu was meant to, was plants with Warlock Origins. Not sure if he's had plan Bs or real life has got in the way. It's perfectly fine. I fully understand, sometimes real life does pop up and you have to accommodate, but if that's the case, I do have my plan B. So then we will have to wait a little while at least to see if he's in the area. Do we have... Ooh, actually, you know what we could do? We have a bunch of stuff in here I can use. We could go through some game updates. What does Steam have open at the moment? Ruse has an update. Armor 3, why would I want Armor 3 in my newsfeed? Weapon pack for Generation 0. Pets DLC is out now for House Flipper. End Zone A World Apart is patch notes for release version 1.1.8166. Update 30 for Ready or Not, support a development update. Niche, a genetics survival game, has released a plushie. Interestingly. Planet Crafter Prologue, Caves and Crater update is almost ready for the main game. And an update from Ruse. Rios? However the pronunciation goes. That game having an update to me is mind-boggling. Because that game came out when I was in high school. Using the numpad and binding all your hotkeys to the numpad is the worst combination of things you can ever do. Stop page. 16th of May 2013 on Steam. Was it not a Xbox Arcade exclusive for a while? Reuse Xbox release date? Because I definitely am surprised I heard about it. Apparently, that is a flat release date. Release 2013. Release May 16th on Macintosh Windows. That's about, I guess. Microsoft Windows Worldwide 2013. Linux January 7th, 2014. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One 2016. This was 100% on console. This is on the Xbox 360. Why are they not releasing that? It has to have been. I didn't have a gaming computer back in high school. I didn't get a computer till after my senior year because I was scavenging parts off of the IT department at my school. So hyped, can't wait to relax to some Stardew fun. Your brain is about to blow up from all the investing articles you read. Went through a free investing seminar and after it you're like confused. I thought stocks was easier. I'm actually doing a bit of that myself at the moment. I'm it's just occurred to me, verbatim playing the SimCity 3000 soundtrack, I hope that's fine. I don't want to risk getting copyright, but it's an old game. SimCity 3000 Unlimited came out in 2001. SimCity 3000 and SimCity 2000 is even older. And I'm pretty sure they share a bit of the same soundtracks, but we've just passed 20 years. I think 15 years for common media now to go into public domain. But I don't know if they're still monetizing it and selling it on their own platforms, or if the person is licensing it under their own company or something like that. We'll see. I guess we'll find out the hard way today. But I've been going through some of that investment stuff myself lately. I've been thinking about doing it for years. To be fair, investing in stuff has always been something I've put off. It's always been that, oh, I wish I'd done it sooner kind of hobby. I wouldn't even say it's a hobby, but it has always been that I wish I did it sooner. I heard about Bitcoin back in even elementary school. Jeez, it's that long ago. But when I got to like senior year, people were saying, oh, it's skyrocketing. You can invest in it now and you'll get like triple in a year's time. Still didn't do it. If I put $20 into Bitcoin back when I was in senior year high, I'd probably be a millionaire. I remember the Bitcoin stories about it dropping to $120 a coin. I remember the other people going, it's crashing, it's down to $120 a coin. Losers who invested in Bitcoin now only have $120 a coin. And yeah, now look at it, it's worth, what, 600 million a coin last year or something? If I put $20, $50, if I put half my paycheck into Bitcoin back then, I'd be set for life. And I look back on it. Even then, it was like, oh, it dropped. I missed my thing. It's worth 120 now per coin. I guess I missed my opportunity. I should have done that sooner. And then a year later, it's still skyrocketing. Oh, I should have done that sooner. Should have did it last year when I thought the same thing. Then a year later, again, multiplied. And the same thing with stocks too. I remember thinking when COVID lockdowns and everything started happening that, I mean, hear me out here. The COVID lockdowns happened. Travel and airport and travel in general, travel as a business, tourism as a business, went into the absolute shitter. Tourism industry absolute crashed. When the whole country and the whole globe is locked down, no one's moving anywhere except for the hoity-toity politicians. So, obviously, businesses are affected. Stocks go down in value. It takes 0 brain cells to realize that some, especially flight companies, what do you call them? Airports. Even if an airport is privately owned, it doesn't take a genius to realize they're one of those industries that's too big to fail because of how much the economy relies on those sorts of things. An airport functioning is more than just people carriers. You get transport, you get packaging, shipping. Dockyards as well. If you find a company that owns a privately owned dockyard anywhere, same thing. And I remember thinking when the lockdown started, I should put $100 into any of these airport companies, any of these tourism companies, just $100. Maybe once a month, maybe flat. And then knowing they're almost too big to fail, knowing because they are pillars of our economy, that they're basically, even if they do collapse, they're going to be bailed out. It's a win-win. They either don't fail, then when the lockdowns eventually end, they start building their business back up, or they do fail and get bailed out anyway. And sure, the stocks might take a dip from when I initially invested, but again, I didn't. So 3 years ago, 4 years ago now almost, and I still didn't. I still, to this day, have got that I should have done it sooner mentality when it comes to investing. But I'm finally actually doing it. I say, knowing I still have yet to actually push the go button. I haven't invested in anything yet, but I have the account set up and I'm finally getting myself sorted. There's a algorithm I'm looking into with a couple of other IT guys as well that's basically taking the mean trend of a stock and comprising it basically goes, this stock skyrockets every year in June. You should buy this stock in June. And that's the algorithm in a nutshell. It takes patterns and then prints those patterns back out to you and tells you this is a good investment because of patterned history. It doesn't account for the variables that real life throws at us, but it seemed like a neat little algorithm. As far as I know, there's nothing illegal about it. Since the algorithm itself isn't managing the investment, it is simply advising on patterns. I don't think pattern recognition is... I mean, at this point, I'm just outsourcing the investment broker to a robot. That's all I'm doing. I don't hire an investment broker, I just have a robot do my thinking for me. He recognizes the patterns. That all said, I do have a message on Discord. Let's find out. It is not it's not from Warlock. Should we say 15 minutes and we're legally allowed to leave? Is that too harsh? Wish I knew sooner about it. Actually put it off for a while since you got scared when the 2008 market crash happened. Isn't that funny? Like, people always rip on Bitcoin, and to be fair, you're allowed to rip on every other cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's the one that doesn't rely on fiat. The 2008... Was it? No, hang on. That was the... It was just after, wasn't it? Scrap that. I'm not that old. I wasn't in senior year in 2008. Good lord, thank God. But I forget. Scrap all of that. Still, I think that statement still rings true. You're allowed to rip on other crypto coins, but Bitcoin's the one that stood the test of time and seems to actually have its own floating economy separate to fiat coin, which is nice. You can use Bitcoin independently of trading it to USD, whereas a lot of these other crypto coins cannot be exchanged. Ethereum seems to be the other one that's making its push into that market. You can trade in Ethereum, but you can't trade in a lot of these other ones. You have to basically treat the other crypto coins like they're a stock. You invest in them, and then you withdraw your money to then actually spend it. Maybe there's a couple of other niche ones out there that are being supported. But at this point, it seems like Ethereum, whoever runs that, whatever runs that, and Bitcoin seem to be the only two that can actually be used for financial purpose outside of a fiat currency, which is what gives them that bulletproof invulnerability. Bitcoin still has value, even if the US dollar crashes. It might affect it, same way that if the US dollar crashes, the rest of the world would be affected. But that aside, rant over, I got my dates wrong. Bitcoin does not predate the stock market crash of 2008. A lot of people say the sooner the better. You got the time. First need to do the 3 precautions. Emergency fund, no money you put for 3-5 years, and no touchy. I don't really have enough spare. Okay, I did have a rainy day fund. I had a very nice little Easter egg that thankfully I was able to start, well, I guess phrasing. Let me think this sentence out properly. I had, past tense, a very nice little Easter egg, a rainy day fund. I no longer do because I lost my job in December. And I've been loitering around town begging for work ever since. Unfortunately, countryside doesn't really allow for a lot of IT jobs, even with the remarkable high influx of remote office work now. Doesn't matter. No one's hiring. Too many techs. The industry is already flooded with so many people from the 90s .com crash still lurking around. And that's something I've even noticed too. There are so many people in my line of work that are over 50 because they basically learnt their craft from the .com crash, and they're still lurking around with years of experience and a plethora of skills that they built over that time. I have no chance against that. I'm new to the field, you know. Me competing against some 50-year-old who's worked with computers their whole life and used to run pardon me, used to run like the pre-HTTP internet websites and stuff like that. You don't compete. Back in the days where protocols were actually being competed for, you know, that's the sort of resume I'm up against. It makes sense that it's a flooded industry, but at the same time, it makes sense I'm not getting these jobs just because the competition is so much able to outclass me. So confused, and the lecturer asked, "What do you do with the money you invested and left it for a while? Take it out, or wrong, you don't take it out?" Oh no, I disagree with that. That's purely up to your situation and your intent. If I invest $1,000 into an airport, and then 2 years later the airport has doubled its value, I could say that is a successful investment and now pull out the funds. There are catches, actually. You don't want to pull it out all in one go. If I put $1,000 into an airport and pull out $2,000 worth of money, that is now taxed. You have to think about that as well. It counts as income. So when you sell off these assets, you have to also think about whether or not you want to just get $2,000 right now and then pay $300 over to the tax man and then another $400 over to the federal, or whether or not you'd like to split it. Maybe you get $200 a month. It all goes towards your annual tax stuff too, is where it gets a little tricky, but it's a very personal situation to have to do with. Saying don't withdraw it is a pure investment, like grueling money grubber kind of answer to me. It's like, I'm not in it for max profits. I do want to pay some of these bills with this money. If I wait a year and double my profit from an airplane, from an airport, yeah, yank it out. However you mathematically plan it, just, I think, call it a success, get the money out, say you beat that level of the game, and then you can put some of that money aside to invest elsewhere if you really want to. Best example that sold me on investing was, imagine you take $1,000 and put them under a mattress. The money won't be enough anymore due to inflation, but with investments you also get interest which can beat the inflation. Sort of. It does depend, because a complete market crash takes all of the market with it. So your investments are dumped into the dirt too. But that's them going down the route. When talking about investments like that, where a complete market crash is now in your theoretical plans, that's where investing in things that are not metaphysical comes into play. It's where people say invest in gold, invest in silver, because if the US dollar collapses and the market collapses with it, then you still have a chunk of gold. And that chunk of gold is worth something to someone else. You know what I mean? Like, invest in a cattle farm. If you own a cattle farm, people need to eat. That has value no matter what the monetary value is. You are still selling a steak, and that steak has a value, and that value cannot be modified by the currency used to grab that steak. Investing in tangible goods instead of metaphysical stocks, I think, is also its own merit. But there's way less monetary and financial gain in investing in a tangible good. Because the only thing investing in a tangible good does is it's minor profit, sure. If you're running a business, that's a tangible good. But you also, I think, to me, what makes the most sense is the means of production. So business and a reseller used to rely on the means of production. Someone else has to produce your goods that you then sell. If you own the cattle farm that produces the beef that the butcher sells, you always have a market because you are the source of the goods. Those are probably, but again, that's getting into different forms of investment. That's to me is investing past the value of the dollar into something that could survive a complete economical crash. If you own a cattle farm, people need to eat. That never changes. If you want profit, metaphysical, all that stuff you can't hold, like stocks and Bitcoin and all that sort of stuff, you'll never physically have it, but good for profit if you know what you're doing. Yeah. And that's the thing, I suppose, too. Like, if you put $1,000 onto the bet, it's still $1,000, no matter what happens 10 years down the line. But let's say you find a rock, and you spend $1,000 on that rock. After the years go by, let's say this rock is shiny and gold, and you spend $1,000 on it. Now, the shiny gold rocks are being run out. They've all been turned into jewelry, and you have one of the last few left on the planet. So your $1,000 rock is now worth much, much more. You hit $1,000 under a rock, and now you have a couple of $100,000. Because what you put the money under changed in value. Yeah, I need to actually get off my ass, and I've made the accounts, I've got everything set up, I just need to set some money aside. Once I properly, stop being a slack ass. I've been unmuted. Of course I've been unmuted, because I use numpad. Numpad enabled is unmuting myself in Discord, silly. Perhaps we should message Warlock again. We've definitely cooked out almost the whole 15 minutes in conversation, so... Excuse me for 1 second. I might mute myself. I'm just going to be tip-tapping away here for a little bit. Lord. Alright, I've sent the messages off, so if he gets the notification and pops online, should see him in a few minutes. Should we jump over to No Man's Sky now? We've been live for 42 minutes. We've been live for 42 minutes talking about stocks and staring at the Stardew Valley startup screen. The hardest step in anything is to start. It can be fun talking about the intricacies of stonks. I need to get my... I've got a friend from Chicago who's dreading the fact that he's going to be doing... He's too harsh on himself. He does a lot of hobby stuff, is what I'll say. He's a coder, a security guy, tech guy. But he's way too harsh on himself. He spends so much time learning an entire system from scratch just to contribute to the GitHub for like a month or two. And he's looking at a couple of things right now that are going to be taking apparently a few years to study and learn, just because he doesn't have to study the code. That's the simple part. What the code is doing is interfacing with stocks. It's the algorithm, like I mentioned a little earlier. And he wants to start learning what the algorithm does, how it interfaces, and the pattern recognition code that it's using. I think it is open source. I think it is another GitHub project he's looking at right now. But long story short, I need to talk with him basically just about getting set up. So more or less more or less, I'm taking basically his entire setup one-to-one and just not applying the algorithm. I don't know how to apply that algorithm stuff. To my knowledge, it just uses like one of those online GPUs to calculate, and then prints a user interface that just shows you, based on what stock you're requesting information on, it shows you the patterns over X amount of time. Literally, it's a line graph. I think all of this is fancy talk for a line graph. But as far as implementing that, no idea, not a clue. But I've taken the other websites, the accounts, and all of the stuff he's using, I've basically taken one for one. If he wasn't already muddying over his head with all of this other stuff he's doing too, I have half a mind just to say, could you manage some finances on my behalf? You know, would you take it? Basically, I was thinking, like, would you take a 10-20% cut if you manage my stocks for me? But it'd probably be good to learn how to do it myself. Wouldn't that be the career change? I'd spend a year being unemployed and then out of nowhere just become a stockbroker. To be fair, my last job was out of nowhere too. I had no previous experience, no prior employment. I basically worked bottom of the barrel jobs the moment I was legally allowed to be employed, because I wanted money. I like money, so I got employed as soon as I was legally allowed to. But below minimum wage back then. Everyone cries about minimum wage. Isn't it something like 15 an hour now? Like, good lord. I survived on 7 when I moved out from the home. I basically just walked out the front door, came back the following day with a backpack, filled it full of clothes and walked out the door again. It works for something abysmal like $7 or $8 an hour. To be fair, I was couch surfing. Life story. Story time. Life story. To be fair, I was couch surfing, working for my minimum wage. But I lived on like the worst diet you could ever imagine. I had 80-cent meals, and I figured this out because it cost a loaf of bread cost you something like $1. A tomato cost you something like 40 cents. Probably a little less, maybe like 30 cents. So if you take a loaf of bread as 20 slices on average, split that into 5 different meals and you get 4 slices per meal. If you split it into 10 meals per slice, that's 10 cents a meal per bread, 2 slices per meal. Then you take your tomato, that's another 30 cents. Let's even round up aggressive. Let's round up, let's make the worst case scenario. A 40-cent tomato, 10-cent amount of sliced white bread. You add on top pittance, whatever you want, 10 cents for cracked pepper, another 40 cents for sliced cheese. And that was my diet. The cheese was the expensive part. You got that occasionally, and you had it rarely on one of the pieces, if you had it. But the point was, that was bruschetta. It kind of. Dry fry the tomato very lightly so that it softens up but doesn't cook. Put it over the bread. Toast the bread both sides with a little bit of butter. If you want the cheese that goes below the tomato, then the cracked pepper over the top, and it's bruschetta. It's not fancy bruschetta, but it's bruschetta. You get your veggies, you get a little bit of carbs for the day. The cheese, I think, helped a little bit with the protein. If you really wanted to lash out, you could go get some eggs and just have eggs on toast with fried tomato on the side. And that's not a bad meal, just as it is. You don't have to go completely broke to enjoy egg on toast with a bit of fried tomato. There you go, my meal. Let's round it up to $1 per meal, but I calculated it back then to be something like 80 cents per dine-in, which was 2 slices of bread, 1 tomato, maybe cheese, cracked pepper, and then the butter and whatever else you were cooking with, of course. Took a little bit of luck, I suppose, having people that were willing to let me cook around that place, so long as I didn't raid their pantry. I was couch surfing too, like that. not... I was definitely imposing on people already. Using that kitchen, I think they were just glad I was buying my own food. But, yeah. For $1 a day, you can feed yourself. If you're really hungry, $2 a day and you get 2 meals. When you're paid $8 an hour, it's fine. I was fine back then, although, again, as mentioned, couch surfing didn't have rent. But I've not changed much, to be fair. My diet absolutely has changed since then. I now buy steaks from a butcher in town. Like, I am so far beyond 80 cents a meal. I am absolutely at the point where I lash out and get fancy food. But I'm no less smart about how I do it. I go down to the butcher now and I buy these week-old steaks because they are like 60% off. If you go down to the butcher and you buy a sirloin or a porterhouse steak, I'm sure you're aware there's something close to well over $15 a pound. They're around 15 a pound. They're probably over 15 a pound, right? Sirloin and porterhouse. So what I do is every Monday they cycle out last week's leftover steaks, still fine, and they marinate them. It's a dry marinade. It's a pepper steak marinade that they have in-house, their own recipe, and they drop the price. So if you buy these marinated pepper steaks, you still get porterhouse and sirloin, but they're now $8 a pound. That is amazing. Like, buying a porterhouse steak, a sirloin steak for $3? Yeah, that's my most expensive item on the food order, to be fair. Holy cow, is that the best thing in my budget? I found out, even with that was my workaround to getting red meat in the diet on a non-expensive manner. The workaround was to buy the cheap version. I ended up running, I think I cost, and this is including bills. I'm not going to go into bills. I'm going to talk food because I'm a foodie. But all in all, I cost $1,000 a month. I had $4,000 rainy day funds, plus a little bit of credit I could draw into. And I've been running on it until last month where I got a bit of financial aid. So I was finally able to say, hey, I'm unemployed, can I get some financial aid? Which was good because I was running out of money back then. $1,000 a month from December, January, February, March, and we're in April, May now. April, May, where I started getting some financial aid. I did all of that without work, with only $4,000. $3,000 of my own money and about $1,000 of credit that I could draw into. Because I cost so little. All of this to say, more than easy enough to live on minimum wage, you just have to cut out leisure and comfort. People buy too much takeout. Yeah, that's the moral of the story. Stop buying takeout. I live quite comfortably. I was buying fancy sirloin steaks on a budget smaller than minimum wage allows. Take that. $1,000 a month. I suppose it depends on your hours too, because minimum wage, part-time, yeah, then I have, yeah. So there are variables. I know it's a bit of a tabloid, what do you call it? A controversial title. You can survive on minimum wage. TM, but yeah, I know that's situational depending on your rental, what you're renting, where you live in the country even, because I know people that live in LA are going to be absolutely screwed. Their rentals are through the roof. But again, depending on what part of LA even. And on top of that as well, like I said, I'm calculating for minimum wage full-time. Minimum wage part-time or casual or anything less than the full-time, yeah, ain't great. You need more than one job then. You need to make them full-time hours, I guess, is the minimum. And it does suck that is the requirement to then afford a living, but it is doable. It's 100% doable. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. You can go out and buy your fancy sirloin steaks. You just have to cut out your fast food, your heating and your cooling, and all of your subscription services. Random rant. There you go. Rant over. Investments are a lot more than bitten. Yep. Breaks heart. You can cook any intricate dish. It breaks my heart. I can't cook any intricate dishes since it's so bloody bourgeois for me. A broke college student in my own dorm doesn't even have an oven. Trying an induction cooker. Oh no, you would hate my kitchen. Okay, no, to be fair, I hate my kitchen. Let's be real. I don't think a person on the planet would enjoy using my kitchen. The stove takes 10 minutes to warm up. Pardon me. Yeah, the stove takes 10 minutes to warm up, let alone cook. The stove can't sear anything unless you burn butter to make it look seared. Cooking bacon just makes it all soggy and liquidy. It does kind of cook it, I suppose, if you wait long enough. And I hate it. I want to compensate for the bad stovetop by getting cast iron cookware, because I feel like cast iron cookware will at least save me a little bit. I won't have to deal with this Teflon non-stick crap getting covered in gunk and liquid all the time because the stove just keeps melting my meat instead of cooking it. Welcome, intro, to the mess that is my stream. The bad mess. How have you been? Long time no see. We've been talking for an hour. I think that's a hell of an intro for Stardew Valley to start up. We're gonna have to switch off to No Man's. Oopsie daisy, wrong button. How have you been, Joe? I've been well. I think Warlock's had real life stuff happen. It's no big deal, so we'll just switch over to No Man's. If he wants to switch back, I think at this point we'll just wait for Monday for Stardew. We'll do some No Man's. Speaking of all this economy talk, trading and selling physical stocks. You can call physical. Okay, I hold it's a stock. Okay, is it me, or did stock have a history of a word that also meant like a stock warehouse? Stock sale. Okay, this word has been absolutely stolen by the stock market. Stock sale, stock warehouse. I have physical stocks in No Man's Sky that I need to sell, and we are going to go do that. We may even join up with Tone Dust today, actually. Oh, Joe! If you are still lurking around, apologies for the massive rant and the complete aimless conversation. I had to ask, because I remember you were the first person that ever donated to the coffee link. And I read it today, and I realized in hindsight the coffee link actually comes with a signed written invitation to stop watching my streams. I don't have any way to get in contact with you outside of Twitch though, to ask if you still want the signed written invitation. It's a genuine offer. If you want a signed written invitation, you're welcome to it. It was part of the deal after all, so I suppose you can whisper me details on Twitch, or if you have other methods of contact, we'll figure them out later, shall we? Although I suppose the answer from most people will just be no, because they assumed it was a joke. But hey, handwritten, signed invitation to stop watching my streams. It's effectively buying merch at any price. Is that merch? Can I call a handwritten can I call that merch? I'll sign a piece of paper that says, please stop watching my streams. That's brandable. I mean, it's very on brand to be sure, but I'll have to print out the little Bokki logo. Oh, look, we can do that. The crumpled paper Bokki logo can go down in the bottom corner. It's an official bird document. Good luck. I never thought. You know how this is so weird to me that all of these bird and, well, Bokki is the species I made in Stellaris. That was an avian species. There goes the crux of the starting point of the story. So, as the story goes, basically me and my friends kept making in-jokes about this bird empire. Species were called Bokki, the Bokki Empire. I have, we used to pass around jokes where we'd download crumpled paper.png and we'd scribble on it and pass it to each other, and it'd be an official Bokki document or an official bird empire document. It just occurred to me, if I send out signed written invitations to stop watching my streams, I'll be giving out official Bird Empire signed sealed documents. I'll get a bloody wax stamp too. We'll get a wax stamp. We'll make it the real deal. This is, after all, a royal document from the Bird Empire. Can you open it? And all it says is, please stop watching my streams. I love it. I'm doubling down on this. That is not a joke. That's a genuine offer. So Joe, as the first person who can receive one of these official signed Bird Empire sealed documents, would you like one? I mean, I know this doesn't mean anything to anyone else because part of the thing I'm having to remember is no one else has context for this Bird Empire in-joke that's been going on between me and my friends. So the fact I have an entire folder on my computer called Official Documents that all have the seal of the Bird Empire, that means no one knows that. No one has any idea to the context of any of this, and to me it's absolute thrill that this is becoming such a full circle thing that I'm now able to actually give out genuine, proper, official Bird Empire documents. How is that? What other way in the world would I have ever been able to make an elaborate in-joke between me and some friends turn into a proper merch? I will absolutely love that through and through. You've been well? Busy? Work has returned to mostly normal, so haven't been able to do as much watching. That's always a bit of a shame. I know there's a lot of the times where if I stream for such a long period of time and I end up crashing and burning, I just miss a whole day. I'll sleep for 10 hours, 12 hours. I'll wake up and go, oh, I missed an entire episode of Flicky playing Oblivion. Or I missed an entire episode of Tuna Pickle playing Subnautica. Now, very important question while you are still here. Do you want the physical parchment with a wax sealed bird symbol? Or do you... I'm happy, if much less excited about just sending the PNGs across. However, I'm also very happy to double down and get some parchment and a wax seal and actually make this a genuine thing that I can physically mail. Well, hey, bird brain pen pals could be a thing. I mean, that one seems much harder to get going. I think just sending out signed invitations to stop watching the stream for now would be a good launching point. But I absolutely love the idea of signed official Bokki Empire documents with the seal of approval. Because I have a genuine seal of approval. Let me bring it up. The Grumpbird's here. The Grumpbird. Say hello, Grumpbird. Hello, Grumpbird. Grumpbird is gonna go on holiday though. We're gonna load up some official documents. We're gonna go to my folder called Official Documents. Let's see here. Official documents. Some of these are so stupid. Is this the official document with the first copy of the Bokki seal of approval? Okay, bear in mind, again, I must stress this isn't in-joke. This is all an in-joke, so you must be aware that this didn't get sent anywhere but like 2 people. And the context is very simple. I wanted 2 hot chocolates, and hot chocolates are very unhealthy. So I sent this to my partner John to say that I had absolute written evidence that I was legally allowed to have 2 hot chocolates despite them being unhealthy. There you go. That's the first ever instance, and that's actually the image I used on the channel for the Bokki seal of approval. Good to hear your voice again. Kind of excited to get an actual piece of paper. That sounds amazing. I don't know how many avenues of contact you have. I wasn't able to figure out how to... There's a couple of places that say send a thank you message for the donation. I wasn't able to find anything on Coffee, but if you have, either whisper me on Twitch or something, and we can privately organize where to send the paper to, if you have a PO box or something, just to get shipping and everything in order. And then I'll try and get the material set. The wax seal, I don't know how I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure I could just get some kind of clay mold or cook my symbol, because I want that Bokki seal, the bird waving, I want that to be my wax seal. For now, I don't know if I'll ever get a proper royal insignia for the whole joke, but I'll get the material set up, and I'll actually, I really want to start that as a proper thing. That then has like something I feel less bad for if people donate through the Coffee link. I can then say, hey, we you know, you get a free piece of merch. Do you want an official document? It means a lot more to me, I feel like, than it means to anyone else, but I still like the idea. And physical paper is a diminishing means of communication, so yeah, if you have any, I'm on Discord, probably the best way to get in contact with me, but I don't know. Twitch, a whisper on Twitch is perfectly fine as well. Otherwise, any other means you have, email is fine too. I could whisper you my email on Twitch if you'd like to send it through that means. But we will get you this signed piece of paper. Unfortunately, I'm absolute garbage with a quill and ink, so I do apologize. It is not going to be that fancy. Although I do have a quill and ink and parchment somewhere in my second room. I just do not have the skill set to be writing like that. So maybe with a bit of practice, I think it'd be quite neat to have these things very officially set up to look like the proper, like, imagine getting something that resembles and looks like a real document from like a royal castle. I would love to make that sort of authenticity to the thing. 10 days remaining. Oof. On Discord as well, whatever's easiest. It does. I'm really excited to actually do that, because I didn't even think about it. Well, we're going back a couple of months now. And I was scrolling down on my page because I wanted to see if I could put a schedule widget down there that shows my schedule to people just on my Twitch page. The answer to that question was no. But it was in that moment that I read about my little tiny text stuff I've got down there, and I remembered I technically have promised a written signed invitation to stop watching my streams. So make good on my word. If you want one, we'll absolutely try and get that sorted. If you just send me a whisper on Twitch, just send me any message. Say hi, the date and time, anything you want to send through on a Twitch whisper, and we'll get communication and details sorted. And I'll get the materials hopefully this Saturday. Board paper rave. I neat. I want to do a production stream sometime soon too. I want to have a stream where I don't play any games. I open up an art program, a video editing program. I open up anything that is a productive program. I want to get some emotes done. I want to also make some thumbnails for YouTube, because especially in certain repeating videos, like we have the Reverse Boss run, we have the Shield Maidens run, we have the Valheim Permadeath run, all of those certain things, the No Man's Sky Permadeath run and the No Man's Sky Expedition. I think it would be neat to have a set thumbnail. It would be the same thumbnail for every video. We're not going to be making one per. We're going to make one per series, and then there's going to be the number. It's going to be that sort of thing. It's only the VOD archive channel too, so it doesn't have to be fancy. On top of that, I want to do emotes. I've got a couple of emote ideas, and I also have a couple of emotes that I think are needed on the channel. There's some emotes I've been desperately wanting to mirror. I don't want to steal them, but I want to mirror the emotion. So there is Code Marley's crying emote. As much as I love how that looks, I want Code Marley's emote to be 1 in a million. We need our own crying emote though. That much is true. So there's certain things that I need to fill in the gaps with on this channel, I think. Emotes are definitely one of them. It's not that the emotes we have are bad, we just need more good emotes. Incoming message. Immediately. Peters, I bring bad news. Captain, our fleet has been involved in a serious incident sustaining heavy damage. Please inspect the damage report. I require your advice. Order diagnostic report for frigate Dissa. Ship has sustained a mission-critical damage. Crew are incapable of performing maintenance. Further damage risks a catastrophic failure. The text is loading. Continue regardless. No, recall. Cut our losses, come home, because I'd rather not lose the frigate. Command registered, Discovery turning to main fleet. Should both be back home. Did we send another one out last night? Speaking of work, gotta make a call. I'll lurk in the meantime. Solar Spot, welcome in. But yes, I have a couple of emotes that we need certain archetypes of emotes. I want a crying emote. I want a bird in a teacup. I feel like a mug is easier visually represented with coffee. So a bird in a nice little very flare. Flare? Is that the right word? A fancy teacup. The sort of teacup you'd expect your grandparents to use when they were playing. Never mind, just me, maybe. But there are emotes I want on the channel. I don't know how they're going to turn out. All I have is base concepts in my mind, such as a crying emote, but I don't know how we're going to make a crying emote. There's a couple of emotes too that I want to try and make for a couple of other people. Flicky Dicky recently got affiliate, and we need to figure out what a Flicky Dicky emote looks like. Now, I'm happy to make an emote based on the Flicky, but I've already mentioned to Flicky I'm not going to make an emote based on the Dicky. That one might not get approved. The fine porcelain, exactly, with the fancy little... It was always blue for some reason, blue or gold. You had the gold rims cups. They were bloody fancy looking. It amazes me, back in the 1900s, you could buy stuff like that at all. Let's just say at all. Stuff like that would cost a fortune now. Everything's mass-produced and made out of cheap plastic. Okay, but that's one of my ideas. Bird in a teacup, because tea has very much become part of the channel's mantra here. Soup the last couple of weeks too. What else was there? We had Flicky Dicky's emotes that I wanted to see if we could brainstorm anything for Flicky Dicky's channel. I know he's an Elder Scrolls nerd, so of course the easy answer is we could take a couple of Elder Scrolls characters and put funny faces on the Elder Scrolls characters. The next answer is we could take his current character, Grumpy, what is it? Grumpy Lizard Boy Man is his current character he's playing through with, which is an albino Algonian with blue flair. This stream has just been me talking. I've not done anything but load up 2 different games and sit still. You know what? Okay. There's no punishment in this game. There's no food and thirst system. You don't have to eat and drink in this game, so we're just gonna be fine. We don't have to reload. I don't have to min-max for time management. We're fine. But there are definitely some ideas I have in mind for Flicky Dicky, because I know he's into the Elder Scrolls, and I know he's playing backwards from Oblivion Morrowind into Daggerfall Arena. So we can definitely do some Oblivion themed things, or Elder Scrolls themed things. With the next one I had in mind, I got some credentials, a name, that I need to look up. Long story short, I need to buy an emote off of them, or barter for the template animation so that I can edit it myself. And I want to make a version of that animation that is Chris Rock punching boulders. Itchy Tasty plays a fair bit of Resident Evil, and he already has a couple of commands in his chat, specifically for not only Chris Redfield, but also for punching boulders. Did I say Chris Rock? I mean Chris Punch Rock, but Chris Redfield is the name. Chris Punch Rock is his job. So that's one of my ideas for Itchy Tasty's emotes as well, because he needs emotes. He got affiliate like a month and a half ago, and I don't think he's enabled it. So he has no chat. Well, at the very least, he's not enabled channel points, and he has no emotes, I don't think. So we need to get him at least that one emote, and I want to brainstorm a couple of others for a few people as well. And I think it'll be great. This productivity day, I think, is going to be really, really good. Honestly, given how much I've played video games in the past hour we've been streaming, I could do it right now. Over here imagining Chris Rock punching boulders. I do that all the time because it's Chris Redfield and he punches rocks. And my brain shortens that to Chris Rock. It's a human mistake. Everyone you'd make the same mistake. Look, it's not just me. Coco is divine, a burly man sips a pink teacup. It was always, that was the, okay, I never finished that thought, did I? Those fine porcelain or fine china teacups, they always had blue artwork on them. It was always blue detailing. Or if it had any other color, it was like gold brushed over the top of the lip, which I never understood. That just seemed like being too fancy for fancy's sake. But yes, I actually, while I have Code Marley's emotes, I'll show you the one I had in mind. The emote I have in mind that I want to basically steal for Chris Rock, I've done it again. I want to steal this one for Chris Redfield punching boulders. So it's basically the same animation loop, but the squatting down frame is just going to be the left and right hook. That's like a 4 or a 6 frame animation there. That's not a ton of work to convert. All I would have to do is, of course, get the template first or pay for a Chris Redfield base, which I'm fine with doing. I honestly, I think having the emote on Itchy's channel is worth whatever the price is, short of $100. That's my limit. I don't have $100 spare for an emote. I think I'd rather just make my own sort of similar version from scratch, if that's the price. The game went silent. Did it crash? Nope. Okay. So, this is the awkward moment where I tell everyone that despite having played nothing for an hour, 20 minutes, despite having done nothing in the stream yet except talk about stocks, emotes, what was the other thing? Paper, Bokki Empire. We had a bit of a detour there, didn't we? Yeah, this is the part where now, despite having done nothing for an hour, I have to go take a break because I've been drinking a lot of liquid. I'm almost through one of these grande coffees that these places make now. I won't say they're way too big, because there's no amount of hot liquid, tea or coffee or hot chocolate, that is way too big. But I will say they're damn expensive. And you can't get through one without needing a break. Nothing wrong with that. Don't even play the game half the time in my streams either. It's a terrible thing. It's not. Thankfully, I've been a lot better over the last few months with multitasking between reading and playing games. I'm getting to the point now where I can even read, chat, and drive. Yesterday was the first time I didn't crash while reading chat. I didn't crash at all, actually. I spun out. I went on the grass, sure, but I did not hit a wall, did not hit another person driving, did not need to go in for repairs at all. I was really, really happy with the outcome of yesterday's race, and I'm getting better at multitasking between reading people's messages and keeping my eyes on the road. Not a skill I can really brag about openly, because the only implication is that I take that skill outside a stream, which is not the intent. Honestly, if I could get the text chat overlay on my screen, because like at the moment it's two screens, right? Text, your Twitch chat is over on the left with all of my OBS overlay and all of my settings and hotkeys and everything, and the game is on the right. If I could get some program sometime in the future that just takes the chat window, makes it completely transparent, I mean, effectively what you guys see. If I could have what you guys see while playing a video game and it's just there on my screen, I'd be fine. Like, I would be absolutely fine, because at that point it's no different to looking down at your speedometer on a dashboard. Flicking down to look at the fuel gauge. Oh, how much fuel do I have left? And you take your eyes off the road for like that split second. At the moment, I completely have to look out, real world equivalents here. I have to completely look out of my left-hand window to read anything written in chat, which is not good for driving, especially flat out around bends, corners, twists and turns, let alone if I'm doing anything with traffic in it, heaven forbid. On the same note as porcelain, during a chocolate museum trip, we saw a very cute teacups for hot chocolate in nice shades of colour in pink and blue. That's true. Isn't there there's a type of china called like a pink china, or it's like a rose. There's a type of china that's like a very light pink reddish, isn't it? Rose gold. Is that what it's called? Rose gold? Big surprise, the pink teacup had a mustache-shaped lid, so that when a man drinks his hot choco, it wouldn't dirty his beard. I absolutely love that. A mustache-shaped lid on the dainty teacup so that you can keep your beard dry while you sip your delicate tea. But, I mean, maybe it wasn't a dainty teacup. Maybe this was more of a, run-of-the-mill, everyday teacup made of porcelain. Because there were varying types. There were the types you had for tea parties. That's a thing that's gone out of fashion too. When you were in the 1940s and 50s, my grandparents actually had tea parties. You would invite, and maybe this is more of the wives thing, you would invite all the ladies around and you would all sit down and you would all have tea and you would get out the fancy teacups. They were the tea party teacups. Nowadays, you don't even do that. You just call over Discord. You grab a hot chocolate in a mug. You know? You order each other some food. You know, I'll order you pizza, you order me a burger. That's like the most intimate it gets these days. But yeah, everyday teacups were a thing. My nana on my mom's side had more everyday teacups. My grandma on my dad's side had dainty tea party teacups. And there's definitely a difference, despite them both being just as fragile as each other, and just as expensive these days, and just as rare too. Made out of the same stuff. All, you know, the checklist is basically identical, except one was very fancy and concave, and the other was more square and simple. Both the sets have sauces, and me and my sister get a set each, and I forget whose is whose. Disappear for 20 minutes at a time, someone like guitar, go down YouTube, old social media rabbit holes. On stream? What do you mean watching other people's streams? Because that sounds like a blast. I always enjoy, there's a person, and He's probably streaming. He basically streams 24/7. I think that's his tag. Yeah, there you go. He is a Red Dead Redemption roleplay connoisseur, shall we say. He plays... Oh, he's actually a sir. I don't know how canon that is. But he plays Sir Someone, a medic. And I absolutely... Like, I loved going into his stream sometimes because he's a car guy. He's a guitar guy. And he has a bunch of guitars in the background, and he occasionally, if I don't like asking, but the first time I saw them, I was like, oh, cool, guitar, what is it? What brand? It looks like one I recognize. And he just picked it up, he started playing, and it was a blast. Jonathan Raymaker, another great streamer as well, he has a redemption on his channel, whether or not it's lived the test of time, we're not sure, but he has a redemption on his channel at the moment that lets you pay something like 10,000 or 20,000 channel points to have him impromptu play the guitar. Like, you can give the cue, the prompts, but he will try and make something up with that prompt, I believe was what the thing was. And I absolutely love those. I've not caught enough of your streams, actually, to see any of the guitar playing, but that is definitely one of my... I don't go to streams to see guitar playing, but it's really cool when it just happens, or when it's something that can happen on the side. Just a little tiny bit of guitar here and there, or any musical instrument, I guess. I wouldn't be too picky if it was drums, to be fair. Although I don't know how I don't know how good the microphones would be at picking up drums. I feel like half the time the microphone would clip out and OBS wouldn't code it through. How many monitors am I running? Just the 2. If I ever get a triple monitor set up, it's going to be for a racing rig. And I say that like I'm going to have enough money for a separate machine to put into a racing rig. But if I ever get an extra 3rd monitor, it's 100% going to be triple setup for racing. I don't know how much my day-to-day daily driving use would change. I feel like the center monitor is always going to be the main one, right? Even if you're not setting up a racing rig. But I don't know what I'd do with a 3rd monitor. See, and this is where I get a little conflict of interest. A 3 monitor setup to me is 2 on the bottom and 1 up the top. Or, if you're in an office and working, it's 2 side by side, and the 3rd one is portrait over on the right. Because portrait document editing and portrait document reading is such a good thing to know about. When you're going through files, documents, write-ups, emails, anything with text, a portrait monitor is the best thing you never knew you wanted. And you might scoff and be like, portrait monitor? Why would I turn my monitor sideways? That isn't widescreen, but it's the size of an A4 piece of paper. And that's exactly what you need when you're reading. More text on the screen. It was literally China with a mustache shape inside. I love the idea of a serious man sipping from his pink teacup. One time you forgot you were streaming and literally took a 90-minute nap and left the stream on. That's not so bad. See, it becomes a terrible thing you realize you've done when you wake up 4 hours later and go, oh, the stream's still running. 90-minute nap's not so bad. It's hit the AFK button, be like, yeah, I'll be back later, and you just walk off. Go get dinner. Like, I've thought about that sometimes, though. I'm very stubborn in my insistence on not ending the stream because I don't like splitting the VOD up. Ironically, I then go into the highlighter tool and split the VOD up to export to YouTube. But if I'm not changing games or I'm not actually splitting the content up, I'm very stubborn in just keeping the stream running for some reason. I don't know why, I don't know my motivations, I just run with them. For some reason it makes my brain happy to keep the VOD in one piece, so there we go. But I've genuinely thought and have theory crafted ways to go cook dinner while streaming. Because a regular, and this is where the conflict comes in, if I want to cook a proper meal with a side of mashed potato and boiled vegetables, that is a minimum 40 minutes because the mashed potato takes 30 and serving and plating, pardon me, takes the extra 10 minutes. So if I want to go make dinner, I need to have a minimum of 40 minutes set aside to go prep the food. 10 minutes alone to warm the stove up, but if I'm savvy about it, I don't start cooking until you can work the timers against each other. But that is my minimum time frame, 40 minutes. I've timed myself cooking meals regularly. A steak with mash and veggies is 40 minutes. And that's from leaving to back at the desk. I time myself with YouTube videos, and just with having my phone out there in general, I can look at the differences. And hey, Warlock, wait for an ad. We'll wait for the ad. I'm rambling anyway, so back. We'll ramble. We'll continue the ramble and wait for Warlock's ad to be over because I don't know how long they are. But what was I saying? Food, 40 minutes? Yes. The best thing I ever did was theory craft how to make dinner on stream without leaving stream. And I'm so proud of this moment. It took a specific game. The game had 5-minute max. We're back. We're live. Hello. Apologies. As I was saying, 8-minute matches on a worst case scenario. I would run out, and my plan was spaghetti bologna, but without the bologna. So I put in a pot of boiling water. I put in the noodles and the stock and all of the broth. I came back, I played my 8-minute match. I then went back out. The noodles are basically done. So then I drained most of the water, left a little bit of liquid content in the bottom, and I added all of the sauces. I was using instant mix sauce packets as well as the stock for the broth to basically make sort of instant noodles. Once that was done, I came back, I played another 8-minute game, went back out, and the simmering pot of noodles and broth was now able to be served, put in bowl, served, cheese on top, and back. Hey presto, in 16 minutes without really disappearing from the stream for more than a couple of seconds, I've made dinner. One of my greatest accomplishments I think I'd ever done. Now, I'm going to go on a quick break. We're actually going to be closing out of No Man's. Saved 24 minutes ago. We did a whole lot, didn't we? I'm so sad that that save data is now gone, but I do need to go on a break though. And I'm going to get back to your messages on Discord, Warlock, and we'll get started up on Stardew Valley properly. Don't go anywhere.
everything that moves in the water. And when a fish swims by, he strikes and seizes the fish with his bill. When he sees a fish come near the surface, he plunges like a blue streak.
So here's the question. Given the conversation just previous about not splitting up the VODs, trying to keep them all in one piece, what do we do with an hour and 40 minutes of me talking with no gameplay? We had the Stardew Valley screen up, we had the No Man's Sky game up. How, like, to me, do I cut out like a just chatting VOD to upload to YouTube? Like, there's no game. You're not watching me suffer through No Man's Sky survival. You're not watching me go tend to my garden. Do I pretend the VOD never happened, or does that one actually go up on YouTube? Because in my mind, I would now cut for the Stardew Valley gameplay VOD. Would be right here. So what do I do with the rest of it? I do want to get myself properly set up here, so we'll boot the game. I need to get the stream title changed again. Pew pew haha space. Good job, me. Can't believe I forgot to read that. No, well, I had a really good title before. Hang on. I can figure it out. Let's go back. Hang on, phone. Videos. Past broadcasts. There's the title for the video. Done. That should have updated. Has that not? Hey. Cool. Back to my phone lurking so that I can check the stream quality out. Right. Was there some stuff I had to catch up on? Oh, I had to go to the bathroom? Yes. However, if there's one thing I ever learned from reading comics on the internet, it's that there's a quote on one of them that says, "Bladder damage builds character." The mystery stuff people eat in huge spoons. You might not be wrong. Maybe that's it. Just start up stream and just have nothing but your chair in the camera view. And that's it. Just have the chair. I wonder how many people would join. I feel like you're onto something there, Drown Bell. I feel like if you just had nothing but a chair and you started up stream and you never appeared on the stream, but stream started and there was a chair, I feel like you'd have people in chat just going on their own conspiracy theories. The mystery would take on its own form. I think you're onto something there. Yeah, okay, that's exactly what you were talking about. I just scrolled down. But with the host talking, so they can hear you but can't see you. 2-hour shut-eye turned into a 4-hour nap. No worries, Warlock. I replied on Discord. I'm up in the game. I suppose I'm still sitting in your... Well, I'm sitting in your Discord as well. My cup of tea and my cup of soup is lukewarm at the moment too. The problem with having so much liquid. You got coffee, you have a cup of tea, you want a cup of soup, all of these things. We don't need the timer back. We don't need the timer. Let's get the SimCity music back, shall we? After about 20 minutes, you realize you're getting old and your back hurts and you paid good money for this chair, so you got back in it. You did that? Wait, you sat on the floor with your mouse and keyboard and just left the chair on camera? That's amazing. Oh, hey, Art. Hey, sorry. It's different colors. I didn't catch that you were here. It's all good. The colors is what catch me off. I'm terribly lazy. So if I see someone in blue and then someone else with the exact same name length is in blue, I usually skim for first letter, last letter. That's how because if I'm reading very quickly, you don't have time to actually proofread the whole thing. Color is my first designator when I go to verify someone is who I'm talking to. I suppose the logos next to their name could help too if I paid attention to that more. Need a chair for your chair? There's an idea. Get a tiny little kid stool and just sit that on the chair. And you could get, you know when you get those giant pizzas and they have the tiny little plastic Barbie doll table in the center? You could sit that on top of the tiny kiddie chair. Chair on a chair on a chair. Or we can pretend the top one's a chair. And we're back. We're so good at streaming, we don't even have to play games. Exactly! Exactly. I'm so good at streaming, I've sat here for 2 hours and done nothing. But, I mean, at the same time, genuinely speaking, jokes aside, I wouldn't mind. There are so many people I go to because I like them. I like watching the streamer. The game they play is irrelevant, although I will admit there is always that +1 on appeal if people I know are playing games they haven't played before. The new and exciting game on a person that you already wanted to watch is always a thrill for me, but genuinely, I do feel like there are people I would go to and I would just watch, even if it was just the chair stream, you know? To put it in a serious note, I think the chair chatting stream is still what I'm going there for, because I'm going there just to chill with people, you know? I'm either part of me. I'm either, I suppose, no, because I suppose the story that occurs in the game is another reason why I'm there. Tuna Pickle's a good example of that. You go there for the story of his journey through Subnautica. You go there for the story of his permadeath rogue run. It's a bit of a mix, I suppose. It's the streamer and the story they make that I think is the appeal. And you can have those stories without the game, I think is the point I'm getting at. If you're still getting set up, I won't join immediately. I'm in your Discord. I joined the Valheim chat this time since that was the one you were in last time. Drag me into whichever one you want to use, I suppose. Meanwhile, I will be back. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. I'm gonna get something sorted on my end because I have crinkly packaging. You want to hear the crinkling packaging? I have crinkly packaging here. You want to listen to this? Or should I mute? I also have to get up and put on extra layer of clothing because I'm getting very cold. But I have crinkly packaging. This is the last of my Easter sitting in this thing. I have to be careful not to get chocolate everywhere. And people say this microphone is trash. If you set up any microphone in the world, you can get good audio quality. If you want a bit more of an aggressive crinkle, that was foil. But if you want a more aggressive crinkle, I have actual chip packets here. So this one is a lot more loud and crackly. And of course, opening it produced with a bit more noise than a chocolate wrapper. And the chips inside are also pretty. I actually don't think the chip crack came through at all. I was proud of that chip crack. It's probably the best one I've done. I don't do them on stream, by the way. This isn't a thing. This is not a thing. You don't come here for a... Oh, I got kicked? Or just AFK kicked? I think I got AFK kicked. But, yeah, I think my mic just muted the chip crunch. Let me see if I can snap it. No, to me that's muting it. OBS says it's not picking up any of this, so let me try talking and see if you can hear it. That's a little tiny snap. It's too small to make the big snap. Let me get another one. There has to be another big one in here somewhere. That can't have been the last big chip. I'm gonna be upset. The curly one there. Well, there's one that should be big enough. So we'll just try snapping it. Because I can't talk and bite at the same time. So if I talk and then we just do this, it diminishes. It does. It's not the same. You can't talk over high quality sound. What was I saying about not putting this what on YouTube? Oh my word, I can't put any of this on YouTube. I need to put another marker to let myself know this is where you cut it. Don't put any of this on YouTube. Start here. Stream marker start. Okay. I do need to actually mute for a quick second though, and then we'll jump into the world. I need to go get an extra layer of clothing on. So I'll be right back. Okay, I have my winter nightgown on now. It's only May. Should it not be winter yet in May? I feel like it shouldn't be winter yet in May. I'm gonna put another marker down because I need these markers to be at least somewhat accurate.